Have you ever wondered where dreams come from?
No daydreaming.
Dreams is very mysterious things, but they's not magic. Dreams is real.
Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams. Boys and girls, the chocolate room. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Now you is in dream country.
Into your imagination.
Chocolate, of course. How do you like it? Dark, white, nutty, absolutely insane.
It was lovely dreaming those dreams.
Only twice has B.J. Blazkowicz dreamt. Once on his way to end a war. For a moment, he dreamt of hope. He saw family, children, love, the start of something new. The next, as he was sentenced to death. For a moment, he dreamt of his mother. They spoke of regret, hardship, acceptance, the end of something hard. Our dreams end with waking, leaving us grasping at the dream for a moment longer. A shred of detail, a mental foothold, anything, because we're not ready to leave yet. It's agony to dream like this, to wake up to reality. But sometimes, truly, it's good to remember what you're fighting for. To dream is not to feel free, but to be free. When the dream ends, all we ever want is to remember what it felt like.
The figure of the dreaming shepherd has appeared in art, folklore, and religion across cultures and across time. In his sleep, he's often taunted by a dream that promises a treasure or reward, only to wake before its location can be revealed. The Dream of the Shepherd by the Swiss painter Ferdinand Hodler is one especially evocative rendering of this archetype. On the horizon, we see 8 ethereal figures, and below, a young shepherd among this field of stones, eternal symbols of existence in its most simple state, far removed from human consciousness, desires, and fantasies. The tension between the two portions of this painting reflect the existential paradox, the unconscious treasures held in the sensual, natural, and mystical experience of life that are made unattainable in a world ruled by hierarchies of those who control and who are controlled by others.
Can the dead dream? If they could, I imagine it might look something like 2017's What Remains of Edith Finch. In the game, you return to an old family home and explore the rooms of its many late members. Each parent, sibling, great aunt, now gone, had their own life and passion and personality, so your memories of them are aptly individualized too. A child daydreaming of turning into animals, a Hollywood starlet memorialized through cheesy tie-in comics, or a bored laborer, lulled into bright escapist fantasies inspired by his favorite games. What remains of each Finch? Well, each of them may be gone, but it's not just our memories of them that differ. The mediums of those memories do too. Edith Finch may be a game about death, but in this way it's also about living, about a house filled with abandoned hopes and dreams that itself dreams, through all the different eyes that have slept in it. Even if the dead can't dream, in dreams, they linger.
Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and of having nothing to do. Suddenly, a white rabbit went...
Hello! Mr. Rabbit!
awoke and found a wonderland a dream.
Emulator Design are responsible for some of the best point-and-click games I've ever played, but although they don't strike as the most iconic of the developer's discography, the Samorost trilogy brings something to the table that very few pieces of media do. Its worlds are landscapes for surrealism, done by the incredibly talented Jakub Dvorsky. They are games filled with beautifully organic spaces floating through the cosmos as your little space gnome simply tries to live life through it all. On top of this, you have the bizarre yet comical homemade sound effects by Thomas Dvorak, and contrasting with it are its poignant and chilling scores, which he also composed. All of it perfectly encapsulates the feeling of dreaming. Sometimes it's blurry, sometimes it's lifelike. It can have a dragon-slaying robot, or maybe a squirrel lady who just wants to listen to her vinyls. Just like a dream, you don't know what's going to come next. And isn't that brilliant?
In the quote you see on screen, David Lynch talks about the difference between cameras, but the same argument can be made for his filmography as a whole. His work often features unsettling surrealist and dream imagery, full of question-inducing lines, symbolism, and, with that, interpretation. But he isn't alone in this. One episode of the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer draws heavily from this toolset. Called Restless, it features all of the aforementioned staples of David Lynch's work, but it doesn't stop there. With the characters being stalked in their dreams, or rather nightmares, the episode explores psyche of each character, their respective fears, their perception of others, showing things that were, things that are, and some things that have not yet come to pass. They even have their own log lady, except the lady is a man, and the log is cheese.
I've been having a dream, and though I realize it's a dream, I still can't wake from it.
It was just that he was all alone, always by himself. Never anyone to share the game. A man who lived in dreams.
Just like you, Spike. I slept and felt that I was awake. I moved through the world and felt that I was dreaming.
I felt like I was watching a dream I'd never wake up from. Before I knew it, the dream was all over. It was the first time that I was really scared. I shook with fear. I'm not going there to die. I'm going to find out if I'm really alive.
It's all a dream.
Yeah, just a dream.
LSD Dream Emulator is a Japanese PS1 game based on someone's dream diary, and apart from one level, it's more interesting than it is creepy. As the name would imply, the bulk of the game is quite surreal as you walk around strange environments and see confusing things. But then you see him. This gray man in a hat is walking towards you in a world full of denizens unaware of your existence. Just the most generic figure in the whole world. He's far too generic for this world, and the mundanity makes him terrifying in a way that can only work in a world like this. It's the more mundane moments like this that really make the player squirm in this game, adding an edge of very effective horror to what is otherwise a surreal art game. It's the mundane parts that have kept me in love with this game my entire life.
there's a line in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness I'm convinced I've thought about more than the filmmakers.
Dreams are windows into the lives of our multiversal selves.
This concept is, obviously, replete with problems. Typically, of course, the point of a dream sequence is to clue us into elements of a character's psychology we haven't been shown, or they haven't consciously accepted. But after this, all dream sequences in all Marvel films now read profoundly differently, right? This is no longer Logan's subconscious helping him move on, for instance, he's just doing some very convenient multiversal tourism, and so on. And where's the line, right? What about hallucinations or visions? Are all these happening in other universes too? But in my long pondering of that line, I've realised this is all sort of missing the forest for the trees, because it eventually lets the film deliver this killer beat.
Wanda, you have no children. They don't exist.
But they do. In every other universe. I know they do, because I dream of them. Every night.
I've thought about this line longer than the filmmakers have, and that rocks, because they knew right away that it didn't matter.
Lyrics of songs tend to evoke imagery similar to that of dreams, so it makes sense that dreams are the subject of lyrics written by many songwriters. Taylor Swift wrote, "In dreams, I meet you in warm conversation." I've always felt the imagery behind this line to be so visceral and almost Lynchian, the dream being the only place we can see someone, the only way we can communicate and possibly explain ourselves warmly and forgivingly. Another songwriter who does this is Eddie Vedder. Oddly, the similarities between Pearl Jam and Taylor Swift are more than you would think, but I connect them this time through dreams. Eddie speaks of what is seemingly the same moment. "And in the night I've been waiting for the real possibility that I may meet you in my dreams. I go to sleep." He sleeps to dream and to therefore meet that elusive person, the one he cannot see without dreaming. Eddie's version is action and necessity, whilst Taylor's is simple recollection, meeting someone or yourself. A mirror in a dream.
Let's be real, most dream sequences in games are kinda boring. Oh look, some floating islands and an oversized thing that's normally small. Revolutionary. Which is annoying because dreams are an infinite canvas for game design. Dream logic allows for impossible things to happen, as does the freedom of a video game. It's a match made in heaven. A match that is perfectly explored by the game Superliminal, a puzzle game based entirely in dream logic. Create hallways with optical illusions, walk backwards to go forwards, use the door as a staircase, use the staircase to smash through the floor. Enter the dollhouse within a dollhouse within a dollhouse. None of it makes sense, none of it requires logical thinking. It requires illogical thinking. Dream logic is about trusting what you can see even when it doesn't make sense. Perception is reality. There's no need to question anything, simply flow with the chaos. Because that's what dreams are made of.
Sammy Jankus had the same problem, but he really had no system. Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, I'm chasing this guy. No, he's chasing me. I have to believe in a world outside my own mind. I have to believe that my actions still have meaning, even if I can't remember them. I have to believe that when my eyes are closed, the world's still there. Do I believe the world's still there? Is it still out there?
Are you sure that we are awake? It seems that yet we sleep, we dream.
In Shakespeare's play About a Summer Night, the ending has a god come from machine. King Oberon erases urge to fight to make the suitors wake as from a dream. Why end a story here in such a way? Or any other story that's unreal? If nothing really happened as was said, would that not also mute the way we feel? When we leave Oz and Mars and Mars and Mars, leave Pan's or Bowie's Labyrinth, we ne'er forget the grand performance of the stars. The plot may leave, but stories stay in there. For stories are themselves some kinds of dreams. Who is the dreamer? Puck says us, it seems.
There was this dream, a dream that must have lasted throughout most of my senior year of high school. I found myself sitting in front of my PC late at night, trying to wind down and empty my head from what remained of the day. What else could I do against the looming nightmare of the national final exams? But the games I played kept slipping away, fading in and out, running not in frames per second, but in frames per minute. Wargame, airland battles, tanks refused to move if I hadn't blinked. Its helicopters hovered still until my very next breath. Units smeared across the battlefield and my eyes drifted as I connected to yet another beam to my poorly designed mechanical bringer of destruction. But this wasn't the same game anymore. Somewhere between those minute-long frames, I started up Besiege. The structure in front of my clunky pile of barely holding together wood and metal exploded into flames.
Mrugnąłem ponownie. Nadszedł w końcu czas wręczyć tą kartkówkę. Nie znałem jej. A może to też był tylko i wyłącznie sen?
You're a soldier. You're a songwriter. You're an athlete. You're a bird. Maladaptive daydreaming. It's a phenomenon that got really popular on the internet a while back. A condition in which a person crafts rich, parallel, imagined lives with characters and arcs and sometimes entirely new worlds, playing pretend, habitually, addictively, backs to the world. One thing that worries me is how desperately we crave escapism in our media. You're a mathematician. You're a game developer. You direct movies. We want to be placated. Rappers, animators, YouTubers, all scrambling to offer people an escape from the burning world around. A collective, maladaptive daydream we are stuck in, all together trying to be anywhere but here, anyone but ourselves, looking in the mirror, muttering, you're a movie star, you're an astronaut, you're in the sky, you are not you. Here's my greatest fear. The idea that there is a meaningful difference between being yourself and dreaming about being someone else, maybe that's the real dream.
Your next Kamen Rider is...
Kamen Rider Zeztz is a Japanese special effects show that stars Baku Yorozu, an aimless late 20-something who has lucid dreams of becoming a super cool James Bond-style secret agent. In the first episode, his dreams are invaded by a nightmare monster who taunts him about his pie-in-the-sky dreams. He can't make them come true, it's too outlandish of an ambition, and he screwed up multiple times trying to make it in reality. Shouldn't he be an adjusted normal member of society by now instead of dreaming to play the hero? In spite of this taunting, Baku refuses to give up, literally holding on to the light of his dreams until finally the right opportunity arises. At any time, Baku could have given up on his dream, but with firm belief in it, he was able to achieve it at last. Don't lose your dream. Remember to wake up and face the future.
Good luck.
When you think of goth music, perhaps you think about death and despair. But if you've ever listened to The Cure, you'd know that isn't entirely true. Robert Smith has made several songs that are romantic and bright, like Love Song and Pictures of You. Yet, The Cure isn't entirely devoid of darkness or powerful instrumentation. Cold is a song with formidable drums and an ominous cello throughout, and Burn certainly has energy too, especially when paired with the imagery and themes of The Crow. Both the bright and dark songs exist simultaneously, often on the same album. Well, it's not their most popular one. 413 Dream is an excellent example of this dichotomy. The song Switch is dominated by heavy guitar, snare, and builds energy throughout. Its subject matter is also fairly heavy, discussing loneliness. Yet by the end of it, the energy dies down, leading directly into The Perfect Boy. This song has a more nostalgic and romantic quality to it. Much of the song is focused on a relationship between two people going well, but even when that relationship ends, the song ends on a hopeful note. I love how The Cure has songs that evoke different emotional responses, and it makes for a much more impactful listening experience.
Five-year-old me dreamed of having a flying squirrel as a pet. 10-year-old me, the dream was to make a video game. 20-year-old me had dreams of acting, and 25-year-old me thought to write a book. Now I dream of my family being safe and happy. We age through our dreams and leave behind the ones which don't fit us anymore, but they all define who we were in those periods of our lives. Which dreams have you left behind, or tweaked, or met? Which have you held on to for years, and which are new? Our dreams chart a course through our lives, and living is dreaming. I wish you a life full of beautiful dreams.
I'm 10 years old in the playground of a school in the middle of nowhere suburbia, and I love Spider-Man and I love Marvel. And because I also love movies, I dream of the day that they'd make a Spider-Man movie. It'd be impossible, really. All the live versions of Spidey have been anything but cinematic in 1997, but I dream anyway. And wouldn't it be really cool if Spidey met the X-Men, or Doctor Strange, or the Hulk in a film? But they're all owned by different companies. Even at 10, I knew a little bit of how films worked. So there'd be no way to do this. So it was just a dream. Decades later, we live in a world where your dad knows what Infinity Stones are, where a grand cinematic universe exists with all the characters I read and watched as a kid, and Spider-Man is teaming up with the Hulk or Doctor Strange, and some people are exhausted by it all, which I understand, but not me. Never me, because there's always a part of me that recognizes that I'm living the world that my 10-year-old self dreamed into reality.
There's a danger in staring too hard into your dreams. The more they're analyzed, the more they stiffen into symbols, like overexposed film. Our conscious mind thinks that it's helping, but really it's just putting fingertips into glass, smudging what was once clear, dulling what was vivid and lively. And games like Nights into Dreams understand this. The dream world within the game's world isn't some grand allegory meant to be solved. It's meant to be experienced and moved through, like a rushing river that you can fly down. To labor for the point of Nights into Dreams is to miss the forest for the trees, or the river for the water. As a mental health professional, nothing saddens me more than seeing people cage their dreams into tidy little interpretations, and often judge themselves by what they find. But I want to remind you that you don't have to treat dreams like they're some sort of verdict. Let them stay strange. Dreams aren't puzzles to be solved. They're reminders that your imagination is still alive, and sometimes the kindest thing you can do is to let them go without needing an answer.
When I was a kid, I had these reoccurring dreams. Regardless of how the dreams would start, everyone would end the exact same way, with wolves slowly showing up out of nowhere and one of them eating me in one bite. I'd wake up in a sweat the first few times, but after a while it almost felt normal. When we went to the doctor, they threw out the idea that wolves are a symbol of wisdom, you're growing your knowledge, or something like that. While that was an answer, it felt like one given for reassurance and not for reasoning. Every now and then I looked up what being chased by wolves could mean and got numerous answers of
you're running from sensory pressure.
I wish I could say this checks out, but around the age of 12, there's really nothing that immediately stands out as what I was afraid of. However, there was this weird thought I lingered on remembering these dreams. That same time period was during a massive financial crisis that affected millions of people in its wake. There's no world where I understood any of that as a child. I don't think I even understood what actually happened until almost a decade later, but maybe this energy somehow leaked its way into my dreams. Which makes me wonder, how many of us are running from something we don't even understand?
For many children, the world encourages their dreams. Parents, teachers, and/or children's stories all contribute. When asked what we want to be when we grow up, nothing feels off limits. But after a certain point, dreams become something we are expected to discard because of what's in our way. We are told to abandon things seen as for children: tears, play, and yes, dreams. One Piece says no. It says that while it is healthy to be content with what you have, your dreams are still valuable, still meaningful. The likelihood of achieving those dreams is irrelevant to the convictions of the Straw Hats. Luffy is certainly a foolish character, yet his refusal to accept discouragement of dreams is a magnet to those who have been too scared of, been too discouraged from, or been too restricted to pursue their own. He reignited their passion for the dreams they left behind, inspiring pursuit of a world they are discouraged from believing in. Their dreams guide their ambitions guide their ideals guide their convictions, and their convictions guide them, collectively providing a greater sense of direction than any compass. This is the power of dreams.
My one desire is a dreamless sleep.
Dream.
What is a dream? Repetitions of memory in the waking mind. What is a dream? The voiceless mind conversing with the vocal mind. What is a dream? Imagination giving life to fear and pain.
Not of what you are.
What is a dream? Visions of the future for those who know they are better than you.
But of what you want to be.
What is a dream? The universe pretending to exist in the dying mind of God.
Dream.
What is a dream? Repetitions of memory in the sleeping mind.
Not of what you are, but of what you want to be.
My one desire is a dreamless sleep.
It's no place